hijab is forever. And you don't go one day not wearing it, and 17 years I wear it every day to the postman, everything.
Everyone's different. How I practice, it could be too extreme to someone else, but for someone else, that's their standard.
If you now see a hijabi kissing a man, they might be married, but still, that's sinning publicly.
Basically, to prevent emasculation further down the line, because of the way everyone's brought up, especially the British Muslims, further down the line, there's issues with that.
I'm Ahmed, your host for the Muslim Safe Space. Today on Open Floor, we are asking if all Muslim women think the same. We've got together 6 different Muslim women from different perspectives and different backgrounds to answer questions. Without further ado, let's open the floor.
My name is Jana and I'm Palestinian. I came here just to share my views but also learn from others, especially that I did not grow up in the UK and I find the British Muslim community really interesting. I think I'll be neutral but also slightly moving towards what is religiously correct.
My name's Amana, I'm 27. I'm originally Pakistani, but I've also lived abroad in Syria with my family. I'm one of 7 siblings.
Hi, I'm Maya, I'm 25. I'm here today because I want to share some opinions on these controversial topics, and I think I'll be more on the neutral side.
My name's Halima, also known as Hals. I'm 23, I'm Yemeni, and I am a content creator. I think that I'm gonna be all over the place only because I come from a household full of women. Hi, I'm Esra, I'm 22 years old and I'm from Egypt. I am a business owner and a content creator. I'm here today because I think it's important that women's voices should be represented.
My name's Dina and I am 37 years old. I am a content creator and a women's strength coach because I do feel like we really need an actual safe space to speak about very important topics on a much deeper level than ever before.
You shouldn't marry someone your parents disapprove of.
Wait.
You should not.
Wait.
You should not marry someone your parents disapprove of.
You shouldn't marry someone your parents disapprove of. So if you disagree, you think
That's
you
strongly
should,
disagree.
you can, it's fine. If you agree, that means yeah, you shouldn't. Okay, so we'll start off with the disagrees first.
I mean, this is, I think, a case-by-case basis. I think you have to really look at it. There's so many factors involved when you're looking to get married to someone. You know, you'll hear countless stories of people that have had their parents' disapproval, but then they still end up married and the parents eventually approve of the marriage later on, and you know, everything's great. But then I also think that as much, you can respect your parents, love them, uphold them to a certain standard and, you know, cherish them. But I also think that as an adult, you shouldn't be pacified so much that you're not able to have autonomy and make your own decisions.
Okay.
You should be able to assess yourself, if this feels right between me and God. You're getting married for the sake of God at the end of the day. It's not this fairy tale fantasy.
So essentially you're saying eventually you have to get your parents' approval?
Well, I think if you strongly believe in your heart of hearts, God is approving of my marriage between me and so-and-so, and then external parties are having their opinion on that, I will always go for what I believe God is approving of.
But in that sense, God, or Islamically, God can't approve of the marriage unless your dad's accepted it.
I think it depends on the reason.
Dads are racist.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a case-by-case basis.
What, as in your dad or their dad?
The dad who's not accepting the marriage.
The dad
that has to accept the marriage is the female's dad.
I think you have to look at the reasonings.
So what if the dad's reasons are not within they're not reasons that you can even entertain because they're so...
I agree with you. Your
Yeah,
dad,
I mean, it depends on the reason.
Should not be racist, but in the sense that you would not just be able to go about it alone. You'd have to have a
Of course, you have to have a witness. And,
a mahram on your party, whether that be your dad, your uncle, your brother, to allow the marriage.
I think that's the exception, that I accept that. I have to get my dad's approval.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I do believe that if my parents were just for no reason, the reason has to be clear that I agree with it. And I'm happy people to disagree with me. It's just that if I know in my heart of hearts that their reasoning and their basis is not grounded in Islam, I will always go for what I believe is true. And
but how?
Yeah.
How would you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just common sense, case by case basis. You have to just look at things. I don't know what his reasoning will be. If it's culture, if it's oh, this person's from the wrong background, forget it. What are you talking about?
The dad gives you an invalid reason.
Yeah.
But we're saying Islamically, for a woman, the dad has to say yes.
Yeah. But if
that has to facilitate that marriage.
It's probably better conversation to talk to parents, especially newlyweds who are going to become parents, and how are we going to raise the children differently to how we are raised, so that we're not sitting here worrying about our child's choice, and we're actually respecting that they've grown it. We've given them the space that they've grown into the person that can make that choice, and trust that they know.
If you were to tell a parent to just trust what their kid's going to do,
No,
there's no parent that doesn't care about their...
No, I'm talking about you tell parents how to raise the next generation. So not the way we've been raised, because this is why we're talking about these issues.
When we say disapproval, are they signing the papers but still like in their heart they don't want you
obviously,
to?
yeah, there's two forms of approval.
Yeah,
Approval would be what they think, what they tell you privately, and what they end up doing. They might agree with you and just be happy for the marriage.
Yeah.
They might disagree with you but still let it go forward for your sake.
But still support you.
Yeah, that's why I'm agreeing with. But if they are genuinely like no,
like saying no,
well, it's haram. The marriage is not going to be able to be fulfilled anyways.
The agreeers.
Yeah, I agree. I trust my parents' opinion. I feel like, alhamdulillah, they're not racist, and if they think that I have fallen in love with someone, they will allow me to marry them within means. So like they will do background checks and all of that. But yeah, I trust my parents. I think that's me personally, but I know there's other households where there's parents that obviously won't approve of certain marriages, but even then, Islam doesn't allow for you to go against your dad's words. So yeah, I can't say no. If my dad says no, I have to be on my dad's side, and I have to trust that there's a reason as to why he's saying no. So.
And something that also, this is not just to you, just to everyone, you also got to bear in mind that your parents aren't emotionally attached to any of the people that you're going to bring, in that sense. You definitely come from a point of view that you like this person, you love them, you want to get married to them.
Yeah,
so if they say no, then obviously you might
of course
think
you're going to be like,
it's
nah,
unfair, but it might not be unfair.
I've never been in this situation either.
Yeah.
Genuinely, this is
But
why
they're emotionally attached to you. Like the person who's going to get into that marriage. So I understand their concern. I said slightly agree just because I want to say for the majority of my life, my family like knew better, and I just wouldn't see it, I want to say. So I trust them, but yeah, it depends on the reason as well. So as long as it's within the limits of like Islam and God, why not?
This is the thing, we're all raised girls as like the end goal is to get married. And so actually a lot of the time we're literally just growing up. Yeah, everyone's doing their career, but actually everyone's goal is to find a husband.
But no, that's not how the way we were raised.
No, well, but
it's like a subconscious thing. It's programming.
It's all we're always talking about. Like,
I mean, religiously,
how are you
it's
going to get married if
hayat
you're doing
dunya,
this?
you know, like
But so then if that's the subconscious of so many young girls, and then there's parents coming in and saying no, but the girls so badly want to get married. Why do they want to get married? They want to get out of the house. Because that's the next thing.
I've seen that.
That's realistically allowed, and that happens with girls who look really free, or they've had, parents who let them go out and do it. But no, it's still there. Trust me.
It is.
Trust me.
I think my biggest tip,
Okay, we'll go back into the middle. All right, next prompt. You shouldn't ask someone you're getting to know about their past.
Do you know the wording of these questions really throws me off as well?
Yeah.
You should not.
Shouldn't means you agree. If you don't, you should. They don't. That means you go that way. If you disagree, then okay. So we'll start. We have two disagreeers.
Yeah.
You think they should ask?
Yeah, I want to know what you've been up to. I want to know who I'm I want to know who I'm marrying. I feel like your past shapes the person you are today.
100%.
and we're not asking to judge anyway. It really helps build the relationship as well, because you trust me to not judge. I just want to know your past, because they also have the right to ask about my past, and I don't mind sharing that.
So you feel comfortable saying that because you know that you're okay with also receiving those questions?
Yeah.
And I get that. I'm the same. But the thing with me is, not everything is as rigid, because whilst that is something that I'd ideally want to know, Islamically, when it comes to certain things, like let's say intimacy, that is something that is obviously, if someone's repented from certain things, then I can understand why that is allowed to be kept,
secret,
private. Yeah, exactly. So I can respect that, but I'm also the kind of person where if someone was to ask me anything about my past, I'm fully ready to. I'm open to any question. There's nothing that I'm afraid of sharing or not sharing that I think would taint my future marriage, because I'd like to think that I've upheld myself to a certain standard that I wouldn't need to, err and R about is my husband going to accept this or not. But
what do the other agreeers think?
I think don't ask. But the reason why I'm not over or here is because what if they're a criminal? Sometimes you want to ask little stuff like that, or like you said, if they're crazy. But anything else, I don't expect you to ask me because I'm getting to know you for who I am now. Whatever happened before, nothing to do with you. You didn't know me then. If you didn't know me then, don't ask me nothing about that, and don't get angry either. Because it's like, no, but I want to know. But then, how do I know you're not lying and I'm lying too? It could be a case of that. It's like, we'll discuss it, but you could be lying. I could also be lying, but there's little stuff that I'll ask because when you get to know someone, you do have to ask certain stuff like, so what was your previous job? What did you do when you were younger? Like little stuff like that. I feel like everyone bases this question on straight intimacy.
Yeah.
It's like, how many boyfriends and girlfriends?
Yeah, that's immediately on my mind went.
Relationship.
Let's say all sins.
That's what I
You
mean.
ask someone about this.
So sins, no, you're not meant to anyways. I could.
But would you guys agree with that?
You're not supposed to disclose
You're
your
supposed
sins.
to.
It's between you and Allah, so I don't think you should, but like...
If there's anything major, you'd think that person
Would come
that you're
forth with-
considering is going to share that information.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
Like,
I'd rather-
that's major.
Yeah.
I'd rather it come from them than me hearing it from someone else.
Yeah, you don't have to be asking. And also, as a woman, you don't want to be asked that because what do they do later down the line? They just use it.
They use it against you.
That's
So
the risk.
it's actually the women who are more open and honest about let's be real anyway, when it comes to that, and then it gets thrown in the face. So actually,
Question to
if
all
you
of you.
don't have to, then absolutely don't. You owe this man nothing at this point.
Okay, a question to all of you then. Like you're saying you wouldn't ask them directly, or you're saying you might. Would you go about it in other ways? For example, asking people that know them.
Reputation, family reputation, community. Everyone gets a general gist.
I feel like that's like a normal question
That's
to ask though.
Yeah, but then in that sense, like she said she'd rather hear it from the person themselves. If you go around and ask someone else, like for example, you guys didn't want to answer, if they found it out anyways, then
It depends what you ask, I think. Because it's like, what are you asking? Is it
all the questions are generally.
I feel like I wouldn't go myself and ask around, but I know my family would.
Yeah.
So I would want to know from them before I take the person to my family and then hear stuff.
And if it's bad enough that they have a reputation that people know them for certain things, then
That's bad enough.
do you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
I don't know. I think like they're two mature people. You can always have a conversation, and for me, you need to know about the past to be together in the present, and then continue in the future.
I think
so
if it comes with that trust, then
and I mean, like again, it's about the wording, how you ask.
I feel like it is idealistic at the same time, but I get what you're saying. I
think
agree.
if a job asks you about your previous job, then why can't we ask about a previous partner, like their previous past?
but that's an example because you can lie about it. You
Exactly.
lie about your jobs.
You can lie about it.
I've lied about my CV bare times.
No,
So
but
it's like it's the same thing.
No. I'm saying like when jobs ask for your old manager's number, that
it's
it's expected.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have their opinion of you. But then again, you might not have gotten along with your manager, and now all he has to say is bad things. So I think it's
That's good.
yeah. So I think it's. I'm on the fence now.
Good point though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it depends as well on where we're brought up and like the community you're in, because like
100%.
UK, let's say you went to high school in UK and with Muslims, like, oh, she's been with whoever, she's been where, like it's already tainted, whereas like in Egypt, because I grew up in Egypt as well, they have relationships but they're not, it's very well known that it's not an intimate relationship, so these things are not even, it's not an issue with practicing Muslims. Whereas like the UK has some major hang-ups amongst Muslims, like the British Muslim culture is wow. Compared to like outside everywhere, that's from my experience anyway.
And also, how many guys do you guys know that will lie on your name and say they've spoken to you?
Oh my God,
before when you haven't even batted them on a single eye. So I think I'm contradicting myself.
I think that's okay. You're holding space for both truths.
It's not black and white.
Exactly.
There's layers to it.
So I think it just depends. I think when you know, you know.
Yeah. That's another thing. I think trusting in God, like at the end of the day, you just will know.
Call that one to a close.
Yeah.
We've got obviously the middles there. It is easier to be a Muslim man than it is to be a Muslim woman. Okay, well, we got a good sweep again. What do you guys think?
I'm tired. Who wants to start this one?
Actually, do you know what? From another perspective, I'm going to go over here actually.
Okay, we'll take the outlier
Well,
then.
basically, actually, what I believe is it is easier to be a Muslim man in terms of no one's going to hold you accountable for anything. However, it is not easy to be a properly good Muslim man because rarely any Muslim men are actually upholding what they should be as a Muslim. So by that, which is probably statistics if we were to look into it in facts, it must be very difficult.
They're going
It's
against
not-
the grain.
It's
Yeah.
not actually ever done properly.
What about the neutral?
It's, I don't know if I'm wording this right, but like it's hard to be a Muslim in terms of like there are lots of standards that you need to be up to. So whether you're a man or a woman, it's just hard, and there are lots of things that you need to control and do. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's
not
hard
hard-
for both. I don't want
It's
to
not
say
hard to be a Muslim. Let's not say that.
no, not hard. As in yeah, I don't want to be understood
Yeah.
incorrectly, but it's nice, it's great, it's the best blessing, of course.
Yes.
But you know, to do it properly, like you know, the dunya pleasures and whatnot. This
Yeah.
is what I mean when I say it's hard.
I have a question for the agreeers. Would you say, so when you're answering, you're saying you strongly agree. Do you not factor in that obviously he has the responsibility of working, providing for you? If there was to be a war, he'd have to go and fight for you, etc., etc.
But
But that's got nothing to do with religion.
That is to do with religion.
and
It's a
these-
religious
They're
duty.
saying he
No,
doesn't get
but-
account. He has to do all these things, but that side is basically like it's easier because they can do whatever they want, regardless of what they're supposed to be doing.
I'm talking about religious duties now, like for the man and the woman.
I think women have to do way more. I feel like we have to wear the hijab, we have to act a certain way, we're not allowed outside, we're not allowed to go on holidays. There's so many restrictions on women and also punishments
But
that I've
is
heard
that
of.
religion or culture? A lot of it.
Yeah,
I'd say
I was gonna
it
you
is
can go on
more.
holiday, you can, as long as you have a mahram with you.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but okay, cool.
But there's also
But
an
I want-
extension, there's a time
but men-
extension of how long a man can be without his wife, for example, that he can travel and leave her behind. There's a limit on that. You can't just leave your wife and go on holiday the whole year or something. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I know that, and that's a restriction.
It's more about why you're on this side.
So that's why it's more difficult because a man can do that, a woman could not. And
Yeah,
then
but
like,
then there's things that a man can't do and the woman can.
for example,
For
what?
example, stay at home when there's someone trying to come kill you and take your land.
you think
And what planet is that really happening to what we're talking about now? Really?
So are there not wars going on in
Yep,
Ukraine?
Yeah,
but
women
no,
are getting,
we have to
deployed
now.
for
Like,
war now.
Men get such a like it's got to be such a massive thing as the reason, but like we're talking about day-to-day life for women
Okay,
that they have to deal with.
But we have to
understand
factor
that.
in both.
I agree with that. There's also obviously there's day-to-day life, but then there's also responsibilities that are a fact. There's no debate whether or not a man has
Okay,
to
let's
provide.
go back.
Islamically has to.
Yeah, let's go back to the providing.
Yeah.
This day and age, the man can't really do that anymore because of the economy, and it's quite difficult. So the woman has to kind of chip in, no?
No,
So
it has to. Obviously, it depends who you marry.
yeah, Yeah, of course, it depends on the situation. But
course, yeah.
I feel like most of the time, it's very difficult in this economy. You need to be earning over 6 figures, no, 7, 8 figures, I think, to be living comfortably in the UK.
But are we talking about?
Yeah,
Comfortably. What is comfort? What is comfort really?
Like
Do you mean
you've got a house, like you've got cars, like comfortably, enjoying life. You need to be
think-
earning a lot of
and
money. I think.
The question is about responsibility though.
Yeah,
You're all saying that men have it easier than women,
yeah.
but responsibility-wise, it's pretty equal, in my opinion.
But
I would
are we
say-
talking religiously?
Yeah, religiously, of course.
No, religiously, no. They don't have the same pressure as we do.
Yeah.
But I would also argue that what you're saying as their responsibilities, sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
They are responsibilities, but those are things that they would have to do whether they're in a marriage or not. That's
Yes.
just something you have to
That's
do as a
exactly what I'm
man
trying to
because you still have to go to work. You still have
Likewise to the woman.
But then the standard on women, we live in a patriarchal society, so like there is more pressure and more
That's why I'm
policing.
trying to bring it just to religiously, because obviously society is
But
something
it's ingrained
separate.
because at the end of the day, men are brought up in this country, so they are programmed a certain way. So they do see women a lot of the time. Let's say, for example, men see women as objects, and they treat them as lesser than. They don't see them as having an equal sound mind. They just see them as like inferior.
Wouldn't you say that like the roles of the man and the woman kind of complete each other Islamically, the Islamic roles?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
in that, if they complete each other in that sense, shouldn't it be?
If we're
equal?
talking
It's easier, harder?
Islamically, yes.
It's just that they have different rules.
They have
Islamically,
different
yeah.
rules. Ideally, people, you know, it would feel like it's balanced, but right now we're living in a time where it does feel,
Imbalanced.
yeah.
Yeah. Like culturally, society and whatnot. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Okay, go to the next one. A good Muslim woman wears the hijab.
I have a problem with the wording. I'm not sure where to go yet, but
I'm going to stand here actually.
Let me help you. A lot of Muslim women, they can wear hijab, but they can also not be.
They can be evil.
They can be evil too.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I would reword it to be a good practicing. No, I don't know.
A
That's
good
okay, yeah.
Muslim isn't like...
A good Muslim would
they're
technically
not
be a
phys-
practicing one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't mean. I'm not judging them on their personality if they're good or bad.
No.
It's about
I'm-
the intention.
What I'm speaking about is
They're doing the physical.
They're doing the practical
deed,
task that's expected of
which
them.
yeah,
is a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
that like
That's what you mean.
like you'd be a Muslim Pro Max, you know, if you wear the you know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean.
I get you.
That's why I'm not
That's where
entirely
I'm
on that
coming
side.
from, not
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
evil
I know,
or not.
I know a lot of non-hijabi Muslims that I can't say better, but like,
But like you would say
that are
Yeah,
the
they
character is
more.
better.
Yeah,
Their
again,
character
I'm not
is
talking
better
about the
than some-
character.
No, of course,
Again,
I
yeah,
get
it's
what you're
just-
saying. Because for me, I agree. That's the only reason why I'm not completely on that side. Because when I look at any act that God has commanded of us, I see it as, okay, this is a godly command. And when I disagree with that, I am then choosing my nafs over what is, you know, what's Islam. So that's why I can understand, you know, the act itself, there is goodness in it. That's why
I don't know
we're
how to say
told to do X, Y, and Z.
And that's why I hate the term when people say if you're not wearing the hijab properly, take it off. Like
Because
I still
it's
try.
hard in itself.
I think the action is good, but doesn't determine you as a whole, if that makes sense. So you
Yeah.
putting it on, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's deemed as, oh, that's great, but doesn't mean you're going to be the greatest person and you're good. Now, I'm not saying you said that, but I'm just saying, like, the action is good.
So, a quick question. If you were to have two of the exact same person, and they do the exact same deeds, and one wears hijab and one doesn't, is one better than the other?
No, one just did something that's good, the other person didn't do something bad.
No, one
person
is.
just did something
I'd say
good.
one is better. Yeah.
I would
Yeah,
say one's
because-
better
They're
because
exactly
they're
the same,
They're
but
exactly
the
the
only
same. They
difference
did a
hijab.
good action.
I'd say it's
They did something
stronger,
that's
not
good.
better in terms of like what we were saying. She
Better
can
Muslim.
fight this urge and like decide, yeah, I can wear the hijab, I can, you know,
What's that
limit all
hadith?
these things.
But-
It could
Is
be
that
that
what-
one extra deed that could push you towards heaven, you know, like
Yeah.
just by you wearing a hijab.
Because it's
So
by
if
piety
they're
and good
identical.
action that we measure each other, if we are going to be measuring each other. But by that pious act of wearing the hijab, it automatically does, you know,
Give like a one-up.
yeah, and that's just a thing. It's just, it doesn't mean that someone's better as a person.
No, we're not talking
Yeah.
about, obviously I
Yeah.
wasn't asking as a person.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't mean every hijab is
Also,
like the most
The way girls are brought up, the way we it's so many hundred years. The way it's been taught needs to be completely.
So how, like, as in,
Because what were we saying earlier? Everything we're talking about today, I spoke about this when I was their age, and a lot of you guys are 22, 23, and I'm 37, and we're having the same conversations, and we're all out here trying to be progressive and make changes and change perspective, but we're in the same place, if not worse sometimes, because it's now 2026 and it's the same issues, which
so
is
how
wild.
would you, like, what would ideally it look like to be better? Like the
It's not
hijab,
about-
or the
it's
idea
not-
of it?
It's not about be better, it's about going the roots, like how are we teaching, changing our perspectives on raising.
Yeah, I think
There's
hijab's
so
not
many
just-
levels to it.
It's
Like,
about your mouth too, like what you say. It's not just about, oh, we've got
Yeah.
a scarf. It's not a khimar. A hijab is everything, how you present yourself,
Yeah.
how you walk, how you talk about the religion. It's not khimar, it's hijab. And I think people don't understand the definition of hijab.
Okay, what's the next one?
sweating.
Dawah bros are doing more harm than good.
agree. Exactly. Sorry.
Yeah, I said this would
That's
be
how we
a...
all consent. Yeah.
All right, so take the ground, you all agree, so what do you want to say?
The fact that we all agree, like, it even speaks for itself. Is there anything more to add to the conversation that's been occurring for?
I agree with you
know?
on that. There's nothing more to add.
I do have one thing that I could say, right, which is
Yeah.
that ultimately someone doing dawah, whether or not sometimes they say some outrageous things or claims that maybe rile people up a bit more, or they say it harshly, ultimately doing dawah means you're calling people towards Islam. Now, ultimately, are they doing more bad than good?
We're talking
regardless?
about dawah bros, not dawah people.
Yeah.
Dawah bros, ultimately, they give dawah as well.
No, but they
No, we're
don't.
talking about Dawah
They
bros,
say
though.
they are,
Yeah.
but the Dawah bros are not. They
You're
do more harm.
saying that and you're not even convinced
Yeah,
yourself.
you know.
No, I'm being serious, honestly, because there's a lot of dawah channels. You see, dawah bros,
Dawah
dawah bros
bros.
is a statement towards a certain group
It's
of
a made
people.
up
Yes.
job.
But I can't tell you who those group of people are.
The statement itself, are they doing more harm? When you're saying doing more harm, that's where we're all stood here for. Because yes, they are bringing people to Islam because there are amazing videos out there. I watch amazing videos. I'm like, yeah, that's so good. A reminder, great. But then ultimately, we're talking about how men are using platforms to police women unfairly. It's disproportionate, or it's just an excuse to just, spill rhetoric about, women. It's just, I don't know. I'm
So
over
then
it.
what differentiates between you someone that gives good dawah, like the good videos that you're talking about, and a dawah bro?
There's a brother who gives dawah, and then there's a dawah bro, and we all know the term dawah bro.
Yeah.
It's
So what's
just
a
something,
dawah bro?
Ask my grandma what a dawah bro is. She'll know.
She'll know, yeah.
Ask my mom now what a dawah bro is. She'll be like, oh, a dawah bro, and she'll, not to say any names, name a group of people, and it's mainly on social media.
So what
all
differentiates
dawah
them?
bros who are on social media compared to people who give dawah
I think
correctly and incorrectly. I think it's the way they deliver it. That's why they have the term
approach.
dawah bro. The approach, the way they deliver their dawah is why they got called dawah bros. Now, people who give dawah, brothers who give dawah outside, whether it's on social media or not, they don't get called dawah bros. They got called shuyukh or people who advise or this and that. So do dawah bros cause more harm than good? Absolutely yes, because I'm not gonna lie, they see the views, they see the engagement. That got me a bit of money. Let me just step it up a bit more. Let me rage bait these people.
So you would say it's more about that they're more attacking or judgmental towards
Yeah,
it.
they're not like
I-
teaching. They're not bringing people to Islam in a way. They're not teaching, the benefits of this. Ultimately, like you should.
So what would you say if they, for example, commented on something, a video that someone's made, they're responding to someone, and they've brought up evidence? For example, they brought
Evidence.
About what?
Quran.
What are we talking about here?
Evidence is the Quran, the book that...
Yeah.
No, excuse me, I can bring up evidence then against him. Like, this is ridiculous, honestly. It's literally just a power trip, okay? They have nothing else going for them. And this, them being able to be, leaders is the only place online that they... This is the only place Muslims are the only people that give them that power.
And children.
And they want to bang on about influence, and they're doing the most damage because the people they're bringing, if they're following them and their views, these people are not good,
But the sad
good men that we need in the religion.
The sad reality with the dawah bros, I think they're actually drawing people away from the religion more than bringing them in. I know a lot of people personally who was interested in looking to the Islam, and then they'll see a video that one of the dawah bros made and be like, okay, no, I'm not ready for Islam. Like, I'm not ready to become Muslim because this is the community that they have. But unfortunately, that's not a good representation that they have. And I think a good person that gives good dawah is someone that doesn't own a lingerie company. So you're picking and choosing now at
I
this
also
point.
think the harsh reality is they're always on camera, so there's going to be people that are going to clip them and then they're going to use that as an excuse. Yeah, but you didn't give me context, like you didn't see the background information of what I said before that. But why do we keep repeating these stuff then? Why are we constantly repeating it? Why are we getting-
Exactly. I think that's the thing, that the topics that they're speaking on, I mean, me personally, when I am learning Islamic teachings, I go to an ustaz, a sheikh within my community that I trust and that I've grown up with, and I think the existence of the dawah bros online, I just think if everyone just had someone within their community that they trusted as a good spiritual teacher in Islam, that's what should be more normalised, as opposed to going online and just finding anyone with a platform and a mic who just feels empowered by,
That's a good one.
he's qualified himself, basically.
There's also a lot of pressure when you have a lot of people listening to your advice. So in a way of, you have to be careful how you speak. What you say is, everything is out there recorded.
It's a big responsibility.
So if you're shouting in the mosque, it's not allowed. If you're screaming, if you're, you have to be demure.
Okay, well, next one. It's worse for a woman to sin while wearing hijab.
Are we having a break or what?
After a
exhausting,
bit, yeah.
Wait, it's worse for women.
I think my thing with these, I disagree with the question.
Yeah, I think
my
It's not a question, it's a statement, and you either agree or disagree with the statement. It is worse for a woman to sin while wearing hijab.
Well, then if you want to be
Okay, we'll start off with the agreeers.
It's not
You're
practically
both-
speaking, yeah.
Okay, you're both hijabis, so it would be good to hear some insight.
I mean, I feel like hijab is a visual way of showing that you're a Muslim,
Yeah.
and it's a responsibility to people that you are representing Islam visually, clearly. So that's the way I think about it. Like, if I sin and I'm wearing the hijab, it might put other people off and uninvite them from, I don't know, coming to Islam, or like think, oh, look at these women and what they do. They use it as a cover, but behind the scenes, look what they do, you know. I came here just because I feel like it's a responsibility, and I always think of it of trying to invite other people to come to Islam by the way I represent it. So that's my take
I
on
would
it.
like to say that we don't look at religion. Religion is not represented by people, and I don't like the fact that there's this thing that's been put out there where us hijabis are representing Islam. It's so much pressure on us to be perfect and not sin.
Like with this monolith, like we have to be this certain standard.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it's just, I feel like it's too much pressure. I don't think it's fair. I think everyone sins, whether you're wearing a hijab or not, which it also means that the men that don't wear hijab can sin freely. So it's like, it's more pressure on women.
Without the punishment from the
Yeah,
community, basically.
exactly, yeah. So.
Do you know what? I've heard a point a lot where I had someone who said that they really want to sin, but the thing that's stopping them from sinning is the hijab, and
I agree with
they want to take off the hijab,
Just
so
so
it's
they
like
can-
just so they can sin freely. But I personally think before anything, you're human, so no matter what you're doing, I don't think that. I understand your point with representing, like we're physically representing Islam. So when somebody sees us, automatically she's Muslim. When somebody's not wearing a hijab, you're not going to assume that unless I don't know, they do something in front of you.
He's going to repeat after me, okay? That, people shouldn't judge you and you're not perfect. We know that. But whether you like it or not, that's how society operates.
Yeah.
That's the question. So like, now that
What's
you know
the question?
society
Yeah, can you repeat the question
What is
again,
the
please?
actual question?
At this unfair scale, what do you do as a person, as a Muslim, when you represent Islam? That's it.
In the end, you just do what you want because you're going to get judged regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think so. I think hijabis have a stronger balance in representing Islam. I'd say a calm example so we can all agree on. For example, if I'm out in central London and I'm trying to find a place to eat, if I see majority of Muslim hijabis there, I'm going to assume that place is halal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So and then imagine if I do go and it's not halal. I'm instantly going to not judge, but I'm going to let the hijabis know, hello, like this is not halal, da 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 da. So that's what I'm trying to come across as, you're doing it, like we are influencing other people, and you could be sinning and someone else can see that and then assume that that's okay in a religion for us to do.
But I don't think it's worse. I agree with that, but I don't think it's worse if you're wearing a hijab and you do that. I think regardless if you're not wearing hijab, it's the same thing.
I think it's important to differentiate. When we say worse, we don't mean in the eyes of God. We mean unily, publicly, etc. Culturally. It's not about in front of God.
Whether you're a man or a woman or wearing the hijab
Whether hijab or not, it's a sin is a sin.
So why are we worrying about what society says then if we know what the religion is?
Yeah, we actually.
Because ultimately,
exactly.
even it's not strictly just for women, even men. Even for me as a person, if my name being my name, if I go do something publicly and my name's now in the news, we have an image for Islam, which is bad, obviously. Because ultimately, we want to bring people towards Islam, not push them away from it.
Sinning publicly shouldn't be allowed regardless, but I'm saying like, we won't be able to tell if a man is Muslim or not, but you can tell when a woman...
When they read
majority of the time.
Yeah, majority of the time, yeah.
Because there are non-hijabi Muslims, I'm just saying majority of the time, Muslim women do wear the hijab, so you do have to represent it. And when we wear the hijab, we understand that and we take that with us. Like that's like in the contract. Like that's the reason why a lot of women struggle to wear the hijab, because there's so much responsibility in doing that. And that's why women that do wear the hijabs, it's a big applaud for them.
I don't think the main reason for us wearing hijab is to represent Islam. I think the hijab is about modesty and like hiding your beauty.
It is modesty, but you're also representing them.
I think one thing I would add is that I think a lot of people do see, I think we're just seeing like the pacification of knowledge, where people see someone else doing this and they know in their mind what they're doing, for example, is wrong, it's a sin, but they will do it just because they go, oh, she's doing it. But you as an adult should think for yourself and know. You shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be that influenced by other people's behaviours. I mean, I guess that's idealistic as well. But
it's easier said than done. Society, we're all sheep.
Exactly, we're actually too idealistic for me to say
Everyone
here.
wants to belong.
Yeah.
Why do you get? That's biological, like.
Yeah, I think just allowing that space for people to be human, and again, I think everyone has a responsibility to respect. All of us have the responsibility to represent Islam properly. But,
Just a question out of interest then for you guys is, if you saw the two exact same sins, one being done by a hijabi, one being done by a non-hijabi, do you honestly think you'd look at it any differently?
No.
Yes.
I think people would.
I think we all, well...
we would, in a little bit subconsciously.
generation does.
That's why I'm stood here. Because at the end of the day, we still look a certain way.
So you said yes.
Yes. A prime example.
You said yes.
Yeah.
A prime example, if you're walking in a park and you see a couple sitting down, like a non-hijabi couple kissing, you wouldn't even bat an eye.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
now
See
see
a
a hijabi
hijabi
kissing a man,
Yeah.
they might be married, but still, that's
It's still-
sinning publicly. So,
Yeah.
yes. Yes,
If I see
agree.
a non-hijabi smoking and a hijabi smoking,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge them differently. I'm not going to lie.
You're not going
Would-
to
That's
am.
good.
So
But they're saying you'd basically look at the
Yeah.
hijabi first. Just naturally, you're just going to do it, even though you don't mean it.
this
You're naturally
generation
just gonna
doesn't
look.
do it. And
That's
it's good.
idealistic.
Yeah.
That's the idealistic
This is what
standard.
I'm
I
doing.
wish everyone
My
was
generation,
like, yeah.
subconsciously, we will judge, but then
Yeah.
we'll have to stop ourselves and be like, erase the thought, because it's a work in progress. But this generation, my friends who are this age,
Yeah.
they're not doing this, which is
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because like we're finding it hard to believe her. Like we're like, no,
Yeah.
but you would
Yeah.
naturally. But actually,
But some
the
people,
younger
they just have it in
Gen
them where they're
Zers-
just
But
going to
most
look at
people
them.
would like, have the
Yeah.
opinion like, oh, she
All right,
shouldn't
well,
be doing that.
come back to the middle, guys. Therapy is not necessary. Just praying is enough.
That's ridiculous.
Therapy is not necessary. Yeah, no. Everything has
honestly.
All right, we've got the strong disagreeers. We can start with you.
That's like the same people that say, oh, you got jinn in you, you're crazy, you got jinn in you, you're possessed by the devil. Actually, there's just something called mental health, and yes, you do need therapy, and you do need diagnosis, and you need help.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that example, but
I'm giving an extreme one, but yeah.
like therapy is necessary for like an average person who lives in
Yeah.
this capitalist crazy world that we live in, like not necessarily for reasons related to religion. Like prayer, of course, does the job. Like you feel like you're talking to God. It puts you at ease, but definitely there are things in life, people you meet that traumatize you, that cause you certain experiences. So I feel like
What is therapy anyway? It's just talking.
Yeah, it's a healthy, it's
There's
something we
different
should be,
therapies, but
yeah.
Yeah, you can have
But
therapy
on
with
that
friends
point-
and family.
Yeah.
On that point, just like you said, therapy is talking. You might as well talk to God.
No, it's-
God,
but
God is the
Why
one that
can't
can
you
really-
do both? Why can't you seek professional help?
You can.
But therapy is not talking, it's mostly just understanding the pattern of how you
Help-
think,
or
why you
helping
feel
you
that
understand,
way,
yeah,
It's I wouldn't say just talking, laying around and like
Because it doesn't just
No,
have
it's
to
not
be a
just
therapist,
talking.
it could be
Well-
your
But there's
friend,
different
it could be your
therapies, isn't
So
there?
family.
we've
It's
got
like-
one agreeer.
I
Like to
agree
hear
to
why.
a certain extent. So I think therapy is necessary because I don't think therapy is paying for a therapist. Therapy could be your family, your friends, whoever, you can talk to them. But I think that sometimes when you talk to people, you get so many different views and so many different opinions on topics. Your head is so muddled, and sometimes you just need to get on that prayer mat.
Yeah, I think
just
that's why
talk
I'm
to
not
God.
entirely on that side as
Yeah,
well.
that's why I'm on slightly agree, because I believe that no matter what problem you have, you speak to Allah about it.
Yeah.
As long as you're within the religion, like it's obviously speaking about Muslims, I think that going on the prayer mat and literally just letting it out, especially with men, I feel like men, it's so much harder for them to speak, and it's considered as gay. Like, oh, why have you got a therapist? Like, it's a bit feminine. So I've heard of a lot of men and family like that just literally cry on the prayer mat to God. So I'm not saying no
That's good
therapy
insight.
is allowed, but I think that depending on how close you are to Islam and how strong your iman is, I think when you find that freedom of just talking to Allah, it's better than speaking to someone.
I think
But
prayer-
it's
prayer is
not, it's
an
not either
obligation.
or, I think. It's not either or.
yeah, I feel it has to be both.
Yeah,
Like,
both.
you
yeah.
can
It's
do
not
both.
that's
because-
just enough.
Yeah.
I think it depends on who. If you've tried a bit of both, and then, like me personally, I've tried a bit of both, and I think that because there's so many judgmental people out there, and I have friends, alhamdulillah, that are there for me and family, but sometimes I'm such an avoidant, so I don't like speaking about my problems. I feel like I'm being a burden to people.
What about couples therapy? What if
Couples therapy?
you've got a marriage and they're having problems and they need to sort it out? You need a therapist because sometimes you just can't sort it out between you. And praying, how's that going
I
to
think
sort
it
out?
depends what type of problem it is, because if it's the obvious and you're not emotionally intelligent, why are we having these issues? Like, it's known for us in our culture anyways, like, go to your most trusted person, so like your mom or dad, if there's you're not meant to go to anyone for your issues, but whoever you're close to, you'd be like, so I'm having this issue, this and that. I'm not going to give you like the full on like in depth of that problem, but what would you recommend I do?
Brain
Like
operates.
Yeah, because like it's like when you are studying for an exam, you can't just pray and pray and pray and not revise or do anything to actually help yourself. Like you're not going to sit there and pray, Ya Rab, I get this amazing job, but you're not actually actively seeking or doing anything. It doesn't work like that.
But then you'd also
got to look after yourself.
Of having tawakkul. I feel like when people have a lot of tawakkul, then that's when they're like, they'll go through hardships, a lot of hardships, and just being, I'm not saying just being on the prayer mat, it could be going to the mosque, it could be like,
they have trust. They have trust that whatever the outcome is, and they're okay with that.
I feel like there's a lot of people that I know personally, and it's more tied to what she's saying in terms of men, that when they, for example, open the Quran and they're reading, and there's verses that Allah is speaking directly to the believers and saying things like, there's no burden that I will bear you, that you can't carry and whatnot. I know that for them, that is more beneficial to them than ever talking about it to any random person or a therapist.
That's why I agree with the fact that it's a combination of both. I don't think that it's, well, I just think also we're living in a time where we're even having this conversation. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, did they have this opportunity to have therapy? Like, it speaks to the time we're living in.
But then you see that person that we're talking about, that you should have that person. You would agree, right? But should that person, for Muslims, come from a religious background maybe? Because there's things in, like you said, in hadith, in Quran, that are very specific and clear on ways to better yourself and better your emotions and whatnot, in terms of Islamically. If you go to someone else, they might not be able to give you any religious insight. And if that's the case, then how much will it really help you?
But sometimes it doesn't need religious insight, because the way we're even talking about this is like, it gives so many people exits for and excuses to manipulate religion, or for people who are in the religion to take the piss, basically, all under the guise of like, you can't go to therapy, you just need to pray. Why? Because you're going to get exposed if she finds out. It's based on knowledge as well. Like, and
a trusted religious figure doesn't have to be any random sheikh. It could be someone you know, you trust. You can have a family member, you can have an uncle who's very knowledgeable.
Yes, you could, but why are we so against somebody who's studied psychology and is qualified and put in the work?
There's a lot of anecdotal evidence that people go to therapy speaking to these psychologically trained people and they don't get better.
It's because I think
it's never really about the final result, because with mental health it's no one solution. It's always a journey.
We'll go to the next one. You can be too religious.
You can.
You can.
Who's making these prompts? They're crazy.
I'll be honest.
There's so many layers to it.
I don't understand that question. Can you elaborate?
You take it as you want. You can be too religious.
You
so
can.
If you're there, you think you can be too religious. If you're there, you think you can't.
I just don't.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with the agreeers first because they moved there kind of early.
I think there's different schools of thoughts. And so for example, some believe that you have to wear the niqab and it's an obligation. And some don't. So I think if the people that think that you do have to and it's an obligation, I think they're extremely religious.
But is valid difference of opinion too religious or not too religious or whatever? Because if it's a difference of opinion, everyone should know that some schools of thought say that you have to, or some sheikhs say you have to, some say you don't. That doesn't, if you do or you don't, doesn't make you too religious. It's just an opinion.
think it just makes you on the safer side. You know, like if you do this, then culturally you're too religious. But that's how I use that term.
Can I just say, how are we measuring religiosity?
Do
you know what I mean?
That's why it's up to you. That's why I'm not being specific. It's up to you. What do you think is religiosity, or do you think you can be too religious? It's up to you.
Well, then I disagree on the basis of the fact that, again, everything comes back to your relationship with God is between you and God. Anyone on the outside of that is, how are they going to... No one really knows you inside out except God. And how you practice your religion, you'll follow a school of thought, you adhere to certain things, and you have a principled manner in which you approach everything in your life. And then if you're doing everything, what are the metrics? You know, is it how you dress? Are you praying? Are you following all the 5 pillars? Are you embodying good character at the same time? You can be doing all these things. I still would not say you're too religious.
Like for an example, it could be someone does not have certain outings in certain places because they don't want to free mix or they don't want to listen to music. Or
like people who don't go to weddings, for example.
Yeah, they don't go to weddings where music is played. I know people will definitely call that. Some people call that.
I think that's quite rigid.
If anything is in an extreme, it's not healthy.
I agree.
Well, so that's the question. What is extreme?
Well, this is the thing. So if someone is too religious, where it's making them do things or like what's too religious? Like,
You could call jihadists too religious.
Yeah.
They're extreme.
Okay, but then then they're actually not religious at all, are they?
Yeah, but
they're not religious.
But they believe that
They believe it. So these are the people that need therapy.
So these are the people that
These are the people that need flipping therapy, though. It is.
Yeah.
So like they're not too religious because like who's too? Then by that definition, then the Prophet ﷺ was too religious. Nobody's like the Prophet.
No.
Everyone's striving to be like that.
But then it's impossible for him to be too religious when he's the standard.
That's
He's
what I'm
the
saying.
standard.
So too religious, like you can't be too religious because the people that think that or you're saying too religious is because you're stupid and you're not actually religious.
So do you think it's just religious or
everything's
not?
an extreme, and then at the end they end up being in this cult-like
yeah.
situation,
religious,
and it's
they,
not.
They go off innovation. So they add stuff to Islam. I think that's what.
Anything that's not balanced is.
I agree, and I think it goes back to temperaments as well. The kind of person you are, whatever your temperament is, you tend to follow whatever school of thought naturally feels right for you. And I'm not.
Sorry.
No, go for it. Well, that's because we all have different, personalities and types, and I think I can't ever sit here and judge someone's religiosity. How do you say it, guys? You know that word? Yeah, I can't judge that because everyone's different. How I practice, it could be too extreme to someone else, but for someone else, that's their standard. Everyone, I do believe, has a different temperament.
So you'd say you're either religious or not?
No, I disagree. I think your how you practice your religion, it might seem religious to some people or not religious to others, but it's between you and God.
Okay, I have an example. Let's say you have person A, person B.
Yeah.
Person A prays, there are 5 prayers. Person B prays, no prayers.
Of course, that's not taking out the fold of Islam then,
Okay, but so is person A more religious than person B?
No, I would say
I would say
she is probably struggling to give you the answer because she's not there judging because she knows that's not her job to do.
That's how I feel.
We're asking an opinion. We're asking an opinion, yeah.
Well, but
Even having that
if you're able to have that opinion, then you already are there in that mindset.
That's how I see it.
Look, for example,
because I never see it that way.
It doesn't affect any of us here whether or not the other person prays. It's not my business, not your business, not her business. Not
exactly.
As it should be.
But the question is, there is a book and there is a standard that we follow.
But why are you policing some random person?
How are we policing it?
No, I'm saying the fact that we need an answer to the person that prays 5 times and the person that doesn't. You have no idea.
I'm not with that person 24/7. I don't know what they're doing in their home, if they're praying or not.
You know nothing about them.
I don't know them.
The fact that you even want to have this conclusion in your head means you need some therapy. Wallahi, it does.
I don't agree.
Genuinely need to. Well, like, why do you feel the need
to know?
To even the only thing you should feel the need to do is think the best. And that's it. And if they prove wrong, then stay away from that person.
Yeah, because why are we holding people to stand? I think it's measuring each other's,
it's very simple.
Okay.
It's actually very easy to do the right and normal thing.
What you're saying makes sense.
God told us that we have to pray, So there are certain standards that are deal breakers, if that makes sense.
100%.
My English is not helping me much.
But
you have to pray. You have to fast. You have to do all these things. Like if you don't do them, you're not practicing.
You're not practicing.
I don't know what the judgment
I get
is.
what
or
you're
like
saying.
what the verdict
You're
is,
not physically practicing them. That's it.
Yeah, but then you're not.
No, you can't.
I think this goes back to what I think you might feel strongly about is assuming or basing someone else's position in their faith, because we will never truly know what someone's ultimate journey is going to be, if they're going to end up. Well, because we don't know. We don't know what people are doing in their homes.
Of course, I'm not judging.
Yeah.
But just like if you see something, you know that
Yeah,
these are the boxes
praying.
that needs to be checked for this
Ideally,
person to be qualified as a practicing Muslim, for example.
Yeah, like there's certain criteria that you're saying. So like if you're doing X, Y, Z, 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 you're a Muslim.
Yeah.
But then if someone's not doing that, who am I to say you're not Muslim? That's how I feel.
That's where the point comes in, because if somebody's judging you, wouldn't you say that they're being too religious?
Okay.
If that makes sense?
Yeah.
So that's
Literally.
why I agree with you can be too religious, because then when somebody mentioned the madhabs, like you can pray a certain way. Now I'm praying, khalas, I've done my 5 daily prayers. Now someone's watched me tahiyyat like this.
Yeah.
No, you can't do it like that, you have to do it like this. Now I personally would be like, you're being a bit too religious now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's what the point of it is, but I do get your points. But that's where I say people can be a bit too extra.
So I agree with you on a point like that.
Yeah.
Where there's valid difference of opinion. What if there's no difference of opinion? What if, for example, we have the hadith, we have the Quran, they all, like, if they say to you, you need to pray, you need to fast, you need to pay your zakat, you need
That's
to...
not being too religious, that's the standard, that's the bare minimum.
That's the basics.
Right, but obviously the other side saying that's judgmental.
I'm speaking
because
for the people.
I think their point is nobody should tell you what to do. That if you're Muslim, you should know to do that.
It's a
but
standard.
for somebody to be saying,
But I'm not here to judge
It's like
that
what Jenna was
standard.
saying, if that's the standard, and you say we can't judge that standard, but if the Prophet saw that, he would say.
And I you know,
Yeah,
that's the point.
but this
So if we're trying to...
But this is the thing. Nobody on this earth is anywhere near what the Prophet is. So the fact that you feel like, oh, because the Prophet did it, I'm going to do it. No, you got that. That's a huge.
Rasulullah is, you know, the ultimate.
I believe it's always coming from a place of judgment.
Okay, but what if we don't want to judge, but we genuinely want to advise?
That's fine.
We think this is.
Then you do it privately.
Then the person who receives that advice will be the receiver, and if they feel like that was helpful, then you'll either know about it or you won't, or you'll know that oh shit, I should have.
So are you saying that all Muslims are the same and there's no spectrum? Yeah, so people can be too religious and people can be less
They can,
religious.
but my point is they're not too religious, they're too judgmental. They're not religious. Because to be religious is not to even be like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we're taking too religious and it's basically we're using it to, it's a negative thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're too religious. Okay, so then they're not religious at all, actually, because the religion is, you know what I mean?
Okay, we'll close that one off.
I am autistic, so I take everything, I take everything literally. So.
I think that's what it is. I think everyone's a bit different.
Okay, next prompt. Women should contribute financially if they earn more.
If they earn more?
I wouldn't even be with them.
Actually, I don't know.
Well, we only have one neutral, so we'll take the neutral first.
In this economy, I think women should contribute if they marry someone and they're in love with someone that can't afford the lifestyle in the household. But see, this is one of the reasons why I don't want to get married.
Wait, contribute more or contribute in general?
Contribute.
Contribute if she earns more.
If she earns more.
Yeah, so like I think marriage comes with responsibility, and in this economy in the West, we have now been programmed to work and to contribute to the household. I feel like men can't do it unless you're marrying someone that's really rich.
Yeah, it's like practically unaffordable sometimes. So, you know, the standard of lifestyle people want to live up to.
My
So
problem is with the wording. Like, women should. Like, if we're speaking in Islam, women shouldn't. It's the husband's
100%,
job to supply for the whole house and be the.
If the man can't afford it, then the woman should, because it's not just his house. It's like, then what are they going to do? Are they going to
They have to come into agreement and say, like, this is an adult conversation. This is our finances. Can you contribute more? And it's up to her to say if she wants or doesn't want, even if she can.
I think this was just personal choices then. That's what it speaks on, because I think you're probably speaking what you would probably do in this situation. Let's say, obviously you said you'd want to get married, but if you were to get married to someone, you want to have a certain lifestyle and you earn more money than your spouse, you would then feel like you naturally would do that.
I just wanted to ask, so the disagreeers, I don't know if I'm assuming, but I'm assuming that you're all disagreeing from the basis of Islamically. Right.
No, actually,
yes.
Yes, you mean sometimes.
So if it's not from Islamically, then I'd like to hear what from.
I think it's important, from what I've seen, that it is from Islamic, but in the perspective of if we're talking about Muslims, but not the perspective of I think Islamically, whatever.
Yeah, we're only talking.
Let's say it's Muslim couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the upbringing, culture, and what we're all like, right? I think it's important for the man to be the main, or at least basically to prevent emasculation further down the line, because of the way everyone's brought up, especially the British Muslims. Further down the line, there's issues with that, But however, I then want to go to this side when I strongly believe that a woman should be working or at least developing continuously her skills and her social skills and her professional skills when she has kids throughout the whole of the marriage continuously and never ever be okay with him taking over and her just being at home with the kids and doing nothing.
So when you
not doing nothing, she's raising the kids, but doing nothing for herself, so that if she wants to, she can easily jump back in without the other insecurities like, oh, I haven't worked for a while. Because in the end, what you'll find, a lot of women will just stay without even realizing they're just staying. But it's actually because they're like, well, I don't know,
what can I fall back on?
What would I do?
So when you disagree from the sense that you don't want it to emasculate the man.
No, it's not even I don't want it to emasculate. I think that's
so then what do you so why do you disagree?
But because I see it happen. Because you know, you get men who are like, work. Oh yeah, finally make more money, whatever. Later down the line, majority of men have issues. Whether they come out with and say it.
Well, this is about contribution only. This is not about the man. That's what
I'm saying. It's like a temporary
contribution is going to take away from what the man being the full provider. Which
so you disagree because of emasculation?
Is
that what you're saying? I'm just. I don't understand.
But I don't agree with emasculation. But that's what happens because of the way we're literally taught about it.
And are we saying this on, let's say, it's a period of time as opposed to, I don't know, most of the marriage?
No, it's never going to be overnight.
Because in my head, this is just like a pocket of time where, you know, perhaps it will help both, you know, the household dual income become better for them both because let's say they want to get a property or they want to do this, they want to have this venture.
So in terms of that, what do you think of different levels of contribution? And so obviously there's splitting rent, there's buying small things, there's paying towards a house,
I guess it depends on what he's comfortable with as well. Does he feel like I can accept some money from my wife? Ideally, obviously, you know, we would want him to be a provider to the full degree of whatever it is they want to do together. But realistically, in the times that we're living in, what makes sense in my mind is like if he might need X amount of money just for us to both do this thing together, it's like I have the money, okay, here, take it, because it's going to benefit me too. I don't see it as like some...
So you'd contribute where it seems fit?
Yeah, but like it's not like this, you must contribute X amount every month because, you know, we've come to this agreement. It's just like a...
But also women...
It's a chill thing.
Naturally, at some point, like let's say everyone's married for a long, like forever, then at some point women contribute anyway, nothing to do with money.
Yeah, it's just like a generosity thing.
We actually contribute and sacrifice actually everything we're actually the ones making the family.
So the prompt about financial.
But that is also a huge contribution. So okay, it's about financial, but then you have to look at the other contributions.
But I also think that finance holds a lot of power in terms of if I'm earning more and if I'm contributing, you do not tell me what to do.
Yeah, I agree. Your money's your money.
But this is the thing. The tell me what to do shouldn't be there anyway, innit?
It shouldn't be there anyway.
But look at us safeguarding ourselves, because that's what we're thinking. Like, oh, if I don't contribute, he's going to use it against me.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, I just want to ask a question.
Basically, our independence should never be taken away.
But unfortunately,
or any pressure.
Yes, sorry.
That's what it is.
Yeah, in that sense, then you guys are saying that they shouldn't be able to tell you what to do. Who are we talking when you say they? We're talking about parents,
I'm
father,
talking about
husband.
We're talking about contribute. We're on the same question.
Yeah, so husbands should not be able to tell you what to do.
No, they can. Oh,
Ever.
that's a whole different story.
Ever.
That's a whole different conversation for me.
Financially, they shouldn't be telling the woman what to do. Especially if they come into the marriage as, I'm going to be the full provider. Why are you telling the woman what to do? Unless you've had an agreement before where some people, I disagree, but some people agree, I'm going to pay this, I'm going to buy the groceries, you pay the rent and do everything else. If people agree that, then fair enough. Then.
But realistically, if I'm marrying someone and I'm just a stay-at-home mum and he's working, I will do everything.
No, you won't.
No, but you will though.
No, but
because what else do you bring to her?
No, what do you mean? Stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
Stay at home mum, you're raising the next generation.
That's
the bigger job.
No, I meant stay-at-home wife. Stay-at-home wife. There's no kids at the moment. So what else am I doing just sitting at home? If he comes home from work and I haven't even cleaned nothing, then yes. But now if we're both working, or I'm working more than you, I'm earning more than you, and now you come home and tell me to do something, okay, come on. It's just not gonna, that's why I feel like finance plays a lot of part of power.
That's why we should all keep our financial independence, because it is a power.
My money is my money.
Can I just say, if I'm contributing financially, I need help in the house. So you better be hoovering.
That's exactly what
Was that what you were saying? Sorry, I was
like, we both.
I have a question to you guys. Let's say you work also, but you
Yeah.
don't pay nothing to the bills. So he pays all the rent, he pays the groceries and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Would you still expect him to also contribute or
No.
just no?
No, because then
So
it's
just
fair.
based on what you contribute.
No, of course, yes.
Expect him to contribute if he's.
Oh wait,
You
as
mean
in the
cleaning
household?
the house and whatnot?
Like cleaning.
Yeah, I'm saying clean the house, cooking.
No,
Yeah,
I'm not
of
saying.
course.
I'm not saying. Of course, Islamically, the Prophet used to help his wives and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm saying because you said you'd expect it.
The thing is, if I'm going to work 9 to 5
Yeah.
and I'm coming home and I've got to cook and clean and do all of that, I'm going to need help. But if I'm at home all day and I'm not doing anything, then obviously I'm going to do everything and he's already gone to work. If he's coming home and I've come home from work and he's kicking his feet up and I'm in the kitchen cooking and doing everything else, that's not fair. But the fact that he's been at work, he's probably tired and stuff, he can kick his feet up and I'm probably going to do the housework because I haven't been doing anything else. So if I'm unemployed, then fair.
You need to go on when kids come along. You're going to want to switch that up really quick.
Yeah.
So start as you need to go on from day one. Trust me on that.
So would you say like with kids, you'd probably need
You need
more?
more,
help.
It's not even more help, but see how we need more because we're already the default.
Yeah.
So they want 50-50, but you're already not in the default of the other stuff that you don't even think of it. You have to be told, you have to be managed how to run the house anyway.
All right, we'll go to next prompt.
Wait.
No worries.
Okay, next prompt. Marriage benefits men more than it benefits women.
I think I'm going for like a certain point of view, but I can understand.
Okay.
I disagree financially because I think there's a lot of women who are raised where they're taught not to work, especially in my culture as a Yemeni. There's loads of women who are taught you can't work, you can't this, you can't that, because no matter what society says today, Islam says that the man's going to be more dominant, so the man's going to do everything. So in their head, they've got embedded, right, the only way I can live life is if I get married, and the only way I'm just going to get put from household to household. If I'm not married, where am I going to go? I'm going to stay in this household forever. God knows what I'm going to do. So I disagree that it benefits men better. I disagree that it benefits men better because in some cases it benefits women better. Sometimes they're in a household that they don't even like, and the best way for them to get out in quotes a halal way is to get married.
And that's what I was gonna basically say, because I agree with that completely. Because it depends on the person and their circumstances and the reason why they're getting married in the first place. Because I think, generally speaking, I'm stood here because it benefits men, because like I said previously, anything that they're doing within the marriage are things that they'd have to do anyway. You'll still have to go to work, you still have to take care of the home. You'd actually probably be doing more, because if you were to get married, then you're now placing that expectation for the household duties upon the woman, which is fine, but that's just exactly how their mindset sometimes works. And then also, they have a few more boxes ticked, I think, for women, because women kind of lose a bit of autonomy. They have to then go from, I don't know, being someone that can go to work and go see their friends whenever they want to, go on holidays whenever they want to, engage in whatever hobbies they would like to then actually have to limit those. I mean, men can say that, oh, you know, there's no restrictions here, you can do whatever you want, but ultimately there are expectations.
Yeah, and you were saying that obviously the financial duties that a man has, he has them anyways, he has to take care of a house, whatnot, but paying for another person extra
they're more.
is not cheap. Like if you're going on holiday, that's another person extra. If you're eating, that's another person extra, every single time. So would you say that's not a bit more taxing?
I think it could be, but then those are still things that I think, it's still balanced in the other ways, but I think if we're going to list every single thing, I would still say that men benefit more.
Because of?
Just because it is easier, like, okay, so...
Well, why do men want to get married?
Yeah, I don't want to...
Like, why do men want to get married?
A lot of them want to fulfill their lustful desires. That's
in a halal way that is allowed Islamically for them to have kids.
They're right, that's so they get kids. They get...
So women don't want to get married?
No, but...
The woman has to go through labour and carry
the woman becomes a mother, but the man, what does he get? He gets the title, he's a father, he now has a family.
He's the man, and he's got, you know, the wife, the kids,
that adds to his
everything.
image, let's be real. That's a lot of it is to do with that.
Image, yeah.
So 100%,
and that goes like a whole trophy wife thing.
Men benefit way more in marriage.
I think they're equal. It's beneficial for both.
Wait,
It complements them, you know? Like, I don't think someone benefits more.
No.
So are we saying that obviously a man benefits getting married because he can have kids and have a title?
Yeah, you are. Sorry, yeah, but then
Yeah, but like with the
I think actually holds more.
No, but maybe I'm so like about it.
No, but
so I'd say
you are
like the
only
woman
married
has to
then.
carry a child for 9 months
Yeah.
and give birth. The man doesn't really have
It's
to
actually
do
more
that.
like 10 months as well.
Yeah, 10 months. Yeah, so the
Well,
woman
as
the man
someone,
doesn't have to
wait, hold on. As
But that's
someone,
a gift though.
Yeah, like
obviously,
that's a gift.
she said.
Yeah, the child. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the process
that's not
of
for
it.
women anyway. That,
Yeah.
we don't need to debate that, but for men, they can't.
They
have
just
that
get it.
without.
Of course, and that's
the ultimate. Like childbirth is one of the most. Giving birth is one of the most dangerous things you could do. Like,
yeah.
But also
And
a
it's
very
just so-
beautiful thing and a
Of
process
course
to
it
go
is.
through, you
It
know?
is an amazing thing, but we already know that as women, and when we become mums, we.
So is that not a benefit that you gain from being married?
I think
Yeah,
you're
but the
speaking to
men benefit
unpaid
more.
labour,
The benefit,
like-
the benefit. Yeah, it's literally men.
Men benefit more
Because they don't have to go through that. They don't have to go through carrying the child and giving birth.
as well.
They
don't
want
have to
babies,
look-
they get
they don't have
babies.
to-
They just
but
want,
you-
you know.
They don't have to work a triple shift where they have
I
to.
was gonna, yeah.
They don't have to work a triple shift, whereas like so
Carry the
women.
man's name.
They,
carry
oh
the man's name,
yeah.
right?
Okay, so I want to
but
ask the
you-
disagreeers. What do you think about what they're
Yeah,
saying?
but you as the mum, you hold this special bond with your child that your man could never, ever have or never build.
Yeah,
And you
you
hold
have
a
this
rank
benefit
that
for the woman.
Yes,
God
that-
gives you a certain rank that He doesn't give the man ever.
100%.
Yes.
That's part of being a mother.
But he still benefits more in the
but-
marriage.
So men benefit way more because they don't do anything. What do
They just
what are
get
they
it.
doing?
They just.
Tell me what's difficult
Okay.
that they're doing
Wait.
to get the family.
The man, if the woman wants in a marriage, she doesn't have to work. He can provide everything for her. He can take her on holiday for free. She can sit in her house for free. She can do anything with her own money, spend her own money without him having to tell her what she can and cannot do with that money. So a man, isn't it so much harder for a man? Just place yourselves in his shoes where you have to wake up at 8 a.m. every day, work until 6 p.m. every single day for the rest of your life, as long as you've got a kids and a wife.
It's easier to do that than stay at home with the kids.
How? I stay
No,
at
And what if you can't have kids though? What if, wait, hold on.
I stay at home with
Hold
my
on.
kids. I can
No. Well, that's a good point. What if you can't have kids? So let's say the woman,
That's
the
that wasn't
man.
the statement.
So then, okay, let's say
the
now,
statement is not
but that's
about
part of
kids
being
as well.
married. So the man's married now, the woman can't have kids. Who's benefiting more?
Still the
Still the
woman.
man.
Still the woman.
Still the man.
Still the woman.
But also on that
Because
point,
on what planet, realistically, very rarely is the man doing all those things you've listed?
Okay,
Everyone
would you say
does
it's
that.
unfair? Would you say it's unfair the way that a man benefits and a woman doesn't in a marriage?
Yeah.
In this society, yeah, because
Yeah,
women have to
100%.
work.
In
Women
this-
have
yeah.
to work. That's why women are
100%.
providing. That's the only reason.
and those things that you spoke of, I agree that that is taxing. There is pressure there, but again, he would still have to do those things if you're not married or if you.
But you would also
But he'll still have to have a job. He'll still have to wake up at 8 a.m. go to work,
you have done that if
Exactly.
you weren't married to him.
and I'm doing
If
that.
you've got a family
So
of
I think-
6, you need a bigger car. If you've got a family of 6, you need a bigger house.
I'm gonna say this as
Bigger.
someone that I'm,
But
you know,
as
I'm.
soon as you get married,
Yeah.
you have that right where you literally do not have to do anything. Plus, you don't even have to cook and clean.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's very rarely fulfilled,
still-
that right. It's all good having a right, but
then
it's not
that's
realistic
his
to have
issue.
that right.
That's his issue. He will get punished for that because he's then taken away from your rights, which Islamically isn't correct.
But
But it's
it,
your right to literally sit there and do absolutely nothing.
yes, but
Don't even
that's.
have to cook, don't have to clean, don't have to contribute, get your money,
Yes,
get
yes,
your bag.
I agree.
That's idealistic.
I agree,
I'd
but
love
it's
that.
just so
It should be
unrealistic.
like that.
Yes, it should be, but and which is why women should always have their independence because realistically, the rights Islamically are not going to,
So if,
or they're going to be used in other ways.
so if the man did his duty as a husband, then you guys would agree that it benefits the woman more
Yes.
than the man.
Still no.
Yeah, I
No,
think
not benefits the woman.
think it's
No,
balanced.
it'll be more equal. It'll be more equal.
So would we say that God is unfair then? Because this
No,
is
no,
the,
because
this is
I agree with her point.
This
If
is the way that God's
it would
created.
then be balanced,
No,
but then I
no,
wouldn't
no.
say.
Islamically, the way Allah has made it, I think it's correct and I think it's more equal.
Okay.
But because we live in the West and we women have to work a triple shift, which is looking after the house, the kids, and then
Why
it's
is there
unfair.
heaven
That's
under
it.
the
It's
mother's
just
feet?
unfair.
Because Rabbina knows that she's doing more.
But you just said that no matter what, regardless
What
of
did I
whether
say?
you said that when you were
What did
speaking
I
to
say?
her.
What?
I'm going to tell you one
Quote
second.
it then, go on.
You said regardless of whether those rights are being fulfilled, regardless,
Yeah.
that is better for the man.
Yes,
That's
because
not fair then.
no, because what I just said. Why is it
So God
why is
created
it
unfair
that?
then?
Well, no, but why is it ummuk? Because God knows women are sacrificing more.
So what do you
And
think?
that's why.
about the woman?
And
My question
that's
then,
why
did God create
heaven's
unfair?
under what?
So did God
No.
create an unfair system in marriage then? Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is it's better, the statement that you said, which it is better for men. The whole setup is better, which is why mothers and women are rewarded more in God's eyes. Not necessarily in the dunya.
So that's why we benefit more
that.
then. If
Yeah,
we
I
get
think that's
rewarded
why
more,
women
we
benefit
benefit more.
Yeah.
Well, all right, okay, we want to talk about benefit in after we die. Okay, that's a different statement. But now, we are not benefiting.
That's the whole point. Are you living for this dunya or?
I actually believe we're living for both, and that's why there needs to be a balance.
Go to the
Next question.
I feel like we definitely could have spoken about that for longer as well. That's what's crazy about it.
I'd love to just sit here for hours.
If you've enjoyed this conversation, please check out our other episodes right here on the screen. If you would like to take part in a future episode, leave a comment down below or email our email in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.